I wake up to what feels like a perfectly normal morning. The streets are quiet. Children are already outside. People are walking to work. Nothing seems unusual. If you had been standing in the city of Pripyat on the morning of April 26, 1986, you would have thought it was just another Saturday, but only a few kilometers away. Something had already gone terribly wrong. During the night, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. The people living nearby had no idea. No emergency alert, no evacuation, no warning. For the next 36 hours, life continued almost as normal, while invisible radioactive particles spread across the city. How could something like this happen? To understand that, we first need to understand what Chernobyl actually was. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was one of the Soviet Union's largest nuclear facilities. Its reactors produced enormous amounts of electricity for millions of people. Like every nuclear power plant, it relied on one critical rule. The reactor had to stay under control at all times. On the night of April 26th, engineers planned what should have been a routine safety test. They wanted to answer a simple question. If the plant suddenly lost external power, could the spinning turbines continue producing enough electricity for a few extra seconds to keep the cooling pumps running until the backup generators started? On paper, it was a reasonable test. In reality, almost everything went wrong. The test had already been delayed for hours. The experienced day shift had gone home. Responsibility was handed over to the night shift. As the test continued, several automatic safety systems were switched off. The reactor's power dropped far lower than expected. Instead of stopping the test, the operators tried to recover it. That decision placed the reactor in a condition it was never designed to operate in. Then, at exactly 1:23 in the morning, the operators pressed the emergency shutdown button. Ironically, that was the moment everything became uncontrollable. Because of a dangerous flaw in the RBMK reactor design, inserting the control rods briefly increased the reactor's power instead of reducing it. Within seconds, steam pressure built rapidly. The first explosion tore through the reactor. A second explosion followed almost immediately. The 1,000-ton reactor lid was blown away. For the first time, the radioactive core was completely exposed to the atmosphere. Firefighters arrived within minutes. They believed they were fighting an ordinary industrial fire. They couldn't see the real danger. Radiation has no smell, no color, no sound. Many of those firefighters received lethal doses within minutes. Several died only weeks later from acute radiation sickness. Meanwhile, life continued in Pripyat. Children played outside, families ate breakfast, people went fishing. Nobody realized radioactive fallout was slowly settling across the city. Only 36 hours later did the evacuation finally begin. Residents were told to pack only what they needed for a few days. Most believed they would soon return home. Many never did. Eventually, more than 350,000 people were relocated. A 30-kilometer exclusion zone was created around the reactor. Even today, nearly 40 years later, much of that area remains abandoned. So, could the same thing happen today? The answer is more complicated than you might think. The explosion itself would be far less likely. Modern nuclear reactors are designed very differently from the RBMK reactor used at Chernobyl. Many include passive safety systems that automatically shut the reactor down without requiring human intervention or even electrical power. The specific design flaw that helped cause the Chernobyl disaster simply doesn't exist in most modern reactor designs. But that doesn't mean nuclear accidents are impossible. Human error still exists. Equipment can still fail. Natural disasters can still damage nuclear facilities. The real question isn't whether an accident could happen, it's how quickly the world would respond. But today, almost every part of the response would look different. The first change would be detection. In 1986, the Soviet Union managed to keep the disaster secret for days. Today, that would be almost impossible. Radiation monitoring stations operate across Europe. Weather satellites constantly observe the atmosphere. Specialized sensors monitor nuclear facilities around the clock. The moment abnormal radiation levels appeared, experts around the world would begin asking questions. But technology isn't the only thing that's changed. Information travels faster than ever before. In 1986, people relied almost entirely on government announcements. Today, one photo, one video, One employee with a smartphone. That's all it would take for the story to reach millions of people. Within minutes, news channels would interrupt their broadcasts. Governments would hold emergency meetings. Scientists would begin analyzing the data in real time. Would there still be confusion? Absolutely. During the first few hours, nobody would know the full scale of the accident. Rumors would spread. False reports would appear online. Some people would panic. Others would refuse to believe anything had happened. But unlike 1986, the world wouldn't be waiting days for answers. Evacuation would also happen much sooner. Modern emergency alert systems can send warnings directly to millions of phones within seconds. Navigation systems could redirect traffic away from dangerous areas. Police, firefighters, and emergency services regularly train for large-scale disasters. Moving an entire city is never easy. Traffic would still become congested. Hospitals would still prepare for thousands of people. Families would still be separated in the chaos. But the first buses would likely leave hours after the accident, not a day and a half later. Modern nuclear reactors are also much safer. The reactor at Chernobyl was an RBMK design, with a flaw that made it unstable under very specific conditions. Most reactors operating today were designed with lessons learned from disasters like Chernobyl and Fukushima. Multiple backup systems, automatic shutdown mechanisms, containment buildings designed to keep radioactive material from escaping. No technology is perfect, but nuclear safety has changed dramatically since 1986. Still, some things haven't changed at all. Human beings still make mistakes. People still work long shifts. People still make decisions under stress. Sometimes they ignore warning signs. Sometimes they believe they can fix a problem instead of stopping. Technology can reduce risk. It cannot eliminate human nature. Another thing hasn't changed either: trust. When something catastrophic happens, people want answers immediately. If officials hesitate, rumors fill the silence. We've seen it during pandemics, natural disasters, industrial accidents. The faster information spreads, the faster misinformation spreads too. And perhaps the biggest similarity would be something no technology can solve: loss. Imagine being told to leave your home immediately. Take only what you can carry. Everything else stays behind. Maybe you return in a week, maybe you never return at all. No smartphone, no satellite, no artificial intelligence can replace a home, or a childhood, or a community built over decades. So, would another Chernobyl be less devastating today? Almost certainly. Better reactor designs, faster detection, instant communication, international cooperation, all of those would save lives, but they wouldn't erase every consequence. Because Chernobyl wasn't only a technological failure, it was a human one. A chain of decisions, small mistakes, poor communication, false confidence. Each one seemed manageable on its own. Together, they changed history. And that's why Chernobyl still matters today. Not because we expect history to repeat itself exactly, but because every generation believes it has learned enough to prevent the last disaster. Sometimes, it has. Sometimes, it hasn't. The real question isn't whether technology is better than it was in 1986. It is. The real question is this: have we become better at making the decisions that matter most when everything starts going wrong? Because history rarely repeats itself in exactly the same way, but it often repeats the same human mistakes. If you enjoyed this episode of What If It Happened Today, subscribe for more real historical disasters explored through the lens of the modern world. And tell me, which historical event should we explore next?